I'm going to talk about something that in all actuality is quite kind of confusing to some extent, especially to the average person, and that is cartridge case names and designations. I'm going to go back quite a ways. I'm going to start with designations by the Europeans. Virtually all their cartridges are designated by the actual bore size. Now the bore size is the reamed hole of the barrel before it is rifled to groove diameter for the bullet. For instance, a 256 Mannlicher. Well, a 256 Mannlicher doesn't shoot a 256 diameter bullet. In all actuality, these early 256 calibers, the groove diameter was more like 266 or 268. We've got the other cartridges, European type cartridges, also designated, like the 7mm, 276. Well, the early, as we knew it, 7mm actually used a bullet that was more like 288 diameter. And we could go on and on and on about all these different cartridge designations. But let's move forward here a little bit and let's look at our designations here in this country. For the greatest share, this country and the various companies that have come up with the various different cartridges, different calibers and all these things, they've bounced absolutely all over the place for their designations. They've used actual bore size, they've used actual caliber size in inches and in millimeters, and in some of the latest years here, to do with the nozzle line of cartridges, they've even bounced off over into another area where they're 26, they're 27, they're 28, and they're 30, and they're 33 nozzlers. Well, this is also confusing. A 26 nozzler uses a 264 bullet. A 27 nozzler uses a 277 diameter bullet. Are you starting to catch on to the drift here? All this is supposedly being done as marketing. All it does is confuse the uninformed person. We move up from the 277 diameter bullet in the 27 nozzler to the 284 diameter bullet in the 28 nozzler. Right there, we've got another oddball sort of a thing. Just like with the 26 nozzler. It's neither groove size and it's neither bore size. We go up to the 270, the 27 nozzler. If we want to look at 27, we could add a 0 to it. It's actually 270 diameter bore, but he used a 277 diameter bullet. We go up to the 28 nozzler. Well, the bore diameter on a 28 nozzler is 277. The bullet diameter, groove diameter, is 284. We go up to the 30 caliber, the 30 nozzler. That's 300 bore, is 308 bullet diameter. Now we go up to the 33 nozzler. Now here we are again. You see, what I'm getting at, just bouncing all over the place. Somebody's always trying to reinvent something to be able to sucker you into something, and just confusing things. There's been all sorts of these designations down over the years. Many, many years ago, Winchester came out with a cartridge called the 33 Winchester. Well, it used a 330 diameter bullet, a 33 Winchester. But the 33 Nosler doesn't use a 330 diameter bullet. That's an odd size. It uses a 338 diameter bullet. Are you getting confused even more so? Well, I'm quite attuned to all these things because I worked with dimensions all the time with everything that I'm doing, and I understand this. Many, many years ago, when I was about 16 years old, I learned of the famous 280 Ross. I bought a 280 Ross. Well, that was a Canadian. Sir Charles Ross was a Canadian. That was a Canadian-built rifle. One of the finest rifles ever built in the world is the model 1910 280 Ross. Well, that uses a 288 diameter bullet. That's the early designation, one of the early designations in 7mm from other parts of the world. It basically follows, you know, the early Halger cartridges, the 280 Halger, the 288, the 280 Dubiel, all those use 288 diameter bullets. I have a lot of 288 diameter bullets for my beautiful 280 Ross. I'm pointing out these things because there's no consistency. This country is basically, you know, a country that has followed the American standard, basically in thousands, not millimeters. But we've got companies that have come out with various calibers and one thing and another. One of the first ones is a 7mm Remington Magnum. That's a 284. We've got the same situation. For a lot of years we had the 280 Remington. Well, where does this 280 come from? The bore's 277, the bullet's 284. It's just something pulled out of thin air is what it is. It's nothing else. It doesn't refer directly to any specific dimensional characteristic whatsoever. And after a number of years, Remington decided to redesignate their 280 Remington the 7mm Remington Express. Oh, brother. And they figured out that that was the wrong move. So they basically went back and redesignated their rifles, caliber stamp-wise, as 280 Remington, not 7mm Express. But there was a point in time when you bought a rifle, that's what it was. And when you bought reloading dies, they were designated 7mm Remington Express because it really would have confused the hell out of the hand loader if you got the set of dies and said 280 Remington when you had a 7mm Express. It's the same damn cartridge. Exactly the same. Nothing any different about it. Trickery. Sales gimmick crap is what we got going on here. And, you know, we have other situations. The 260 Remington. There's another one. What the hell does 260 stand for? You know, it's neither bore or groove diameter. It's some odd thing out here. Well, say the guy that's just starting out from point one and he goes to the store, you know, and he buys some 260 Remington ammunition, but somewhere on down the road he decides he wants to try to reload, but he can't find any 260 bullets. All he can find is 264 bullets. Well, that's because you've got a 264, fella. But the companies were so stupid to designate the thing as 260. when it's a 264. We could just talk and talk and talk about these various situations. And nobody seems to bring up the confusion. But by correspondence that I get, and by things that I answer in one thing or another, boy, it really throws somebody for a loop. When you call the 33 nozzler, folks, it's really a 338 nozzler. Boy, that really throws them. They think that you're talking something about something you don't know what you're talking about. Well, the thing is, I do know what I'm talking about. But the guy that questions that doesn't have the first clue. Let him go see if he can buy some 330 diameter bullets. Yeah, there's somebody out here. I think Hawk Bullets might still make some 330 diameter bullets. Our 330 diameter bullets kind of started with the 333 OKH. O'Neill, Keith, and Hopkins, in collaboration with the threesome. They basically just took a 30-06 case and necked it up to shoot a 330 diameter bullet. Well, then we turn around and we've got a 338-06 and we got a 333-06, which is a 333 OKH. And then they wanted a little bit more velocity, so then they took a 300 H&H case and necked it to take a 330 diameter bullet, but they designated the cartridge as a 334 OKH. Where the hell did the 4 come in at? There's no rhyme or reason to this stupidity, to this oddity that's going on here. The bore diameter is not there. The groove diameter is not there. It's a 333 bullet, not a 334. But to differentiate, because it was O'Neill, Keith, and Hopkins, they added 1 digit to the designation. Well, the bullet's still the same. Oh, brother. Nobody ever stopped to think about all these aspects of what's really going on here. You see? But I have. I've had to, because it's part of my business. When I have a question that's presented to me, or a particular situation, what do I have to do? Where do I have to go for components? What do I have to do to get bullets for a particular cartridge? These things have just basically, this has been going on for a long time, but it's gotten worse. And one of the worst situations that's cropped up in just the past couple years now is the 6.8 Westerner. Here we go again. Now we got a metric designation on another cartridge. This is not a metric country. This country's not ever adopted the metric system. This is the American standard measurement. It's a 7 millimeter. I mean a 270 or a 30 caliber or whatever it is. We got the 270 short mag. The 270 short mag was left the same caliber, but the shoulder was pushed back a little bit when they came up with the 6.8 Westerner. Well, some folks have evidently failed to see or failed to understand that the shoulder was pushed back when they came up with that cartridge. So, but they've understood that it was made on the 270 Winchester short mag case. So we got people in stores selling guns and ammunition, and you go and buy yourself a 6.8 Westerner, and they sell you some 270 Winchester short mag ammunition. Doesn't work, folks. You can't close the bolt. And it's just the opposite of that. If you get yourself you know, a 270 short mag, and you were to be sold some 6.8 Westerner ammunition, now we got a real problem. I don't think that in all actuality that the cartridge will be ignited by the fall of the firing pin, because the shoulder's been pushed back, so the cartridge is going to be further forward in the chamber. But if it were to be ignited, we got the aspect of a possible gun blow up here, because the shoulder's been pushed back something around 50, 60, or 70 or 80 thousandths. I can't seem to get to the bottom of where it was pushed back to. But anyway, we've got all sorts of situations here. And as I say, they just keep, and it just doesn't seem to stop. Doesn't seem to stop at all. You know, we've got some wonderful cartridges out here, in like the 6mm 243 line, 243 diameter bullet line. But so many of these things, they did a smart thing when they made the 243 Winchester. That's a proper designation because it uses a 243 bullet. You know? But we've got a tremendous amount of cartridges that have been dreamed up since, and some very good cartridges indeed in the accuracy department and one thing another. Almost always, invariably, they're designated as 6mm. Can't make up our mind whether we want to use a millimeter measurement, which this country has never adopted, or the American Standard measurement. You know, there's no consistency in any of this whatsoever. And I don't know where it's going to end, because the companies are always coming out with something to try to sell you something that's no different than what we've had. It's just put in a different package. The 6.8 Westerner is one of the best cases in point. It's no better than anything else. Add a little bit of bullet weight, reduce the case capacity, reduce the velocity, and then try to claim that it's a long-range elk cartridge. It's not a long-range elk cartridge, never will be. It doesn't start out fast enough to give you the type of energy downrange. Shouldn't even be attempting these things. The comment by the designer at Winchester, now we got a 700-800 yard elk cartridge. He's never shot any elk in his entire life with 700 or 800 yards. He wouldn't have the first damn clue. Or else he wouldn't make such a stupid comment. Anyway, all these things have just created a tremendous amount of confusion for the consumer, the buyer, the ammunition buyer, the reloader, and so forth. And there needs to be consistency. It needs to stop. We need to designate things by the actual bullet diameter that's being used. Because in a lot of situations, it's not used. Weatherby came out with his line of cartridges many years ago. 257 Weatherby, 270 Weatherby. Well, why isn't it called the 277 Weatherby? And then we got the 7mm Weatherby. Why isn't it called the 284 Weatherby? Then we got the 300 Weatherby. Why isn't it called the 308 Weatherby? And then we've got the 340 Weatherby. Oh, here's another dilly. It's not 340 at all. It's a 338 caliber, 338 bullet diameter, 330 bore diameter, but now it's the 340. Oh boy. You know, this has been going on. I mean, those things were thought up, 70 some odd years ago. Very confusing. And now, we've got a situation where, Weatherby's got away here a couple years ago from the radius type cases and came up with their new, 6.5. Their 6.5 rebated rim magnum. Now, we've got 3 different types of designations by Weatherby. One's a metric. One doesn't make any sense at all. One is bullet diameter. One is bullet bore diameter. Oh boy, how confused are we going to get? And now we switch to another cartridge based off of that same basic case to do with the 6.5 RPM. Now they're going to call that the 338 RPM. Well, the other one was a metric designation. Why the hell didn't they give a metric designation to the 338? No consistency. I'm going to stop right here because I'm probably getting you confused. So have a good day.